breaking down the National Sports Governance Act. Let's talk about breaking down the National Sports Bill, understanding it a little better. I'm looking forward to this discussion. I'm sure a lot of you are as well. I'm going to request our next set of panelists to kindly come up on stage. May I request Sri Kunal, Joint Secretary, Governance, Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sport, to kindly come up on stage, sir. He oversees governance of national sports federations, sports science institutions, and talent development programs, playing a central role in shaping India's sports policy and ecosystems. Pleasure to have you here with us, sir, and thank you for being here to share your insights. May I also invite on stage Vidushpat Singhania, Managing Partner, Krida Legal. Pleasure to have you here with us. One of India's foremost sports lawyers. He's helped draft landmark legislations, including the National Sports Development Bill and National Anti-Doping Act. Advises federations and leagues and athletes on governance and regulation. And to moderate this session, may I invite Ayon Sengupta. Ayon, come up on stage. Editor of Sportstar, seasoned journalist, reported global sporting events like the FIFA World Cup. He's led Sportstar's digital and print growth. It's over to you, my friend.
I think we heard the minister in the morning, and a lot of things is going on in Indian sports. Very promising. The new act which has come, we believe that it's going to revolutionize Indian sports. It's going to bring in transparency, good governance, and without wasting time, I would want to get into the questions with these two wonderful gentlemen who were instrumental in actually ensuring this, drafting this bill, and then of course getting it passed in the parliament. Kunalji, my first question is to you. The National Sports Governance Bill introduces term limits, age caps, athlete and women representation, and of course the National Sports Tribunal. What are the core issues this act is designed to address?
Thank you. I would like to draw the attention of the audience on the speech of Honorable Minister, that this bill is essential to address the complete ecosystem of sports. And when we see the issues which are plaguing the sports ecosystem, which hinges on the development of sports as a driver of economy, as a social change, is the good governance framework. This bill, and now it has become an act, is built upon the three core pillars: athlete centricism, good governance, and global alignment. So it is holistically addressing the core issues which are required for successful functioning of a federation, successful participation of athletes, proper development of the sporting pyramid from the top to bottom, and adhering to the Olympic Charter and international rules and regulation. So this act is holistically addressing all these issues.
I'll maybe add to what Sir has said. There are two aspects which Sir has actually worked very hard on, is grievance redressal and elections. If you see most sport federation and whatever is happening in court, as reporters, maybe that's something that you've actually done an analysis on, is disputes are election and selection. Rest all disputes actually get resolved amongst discussion between the federation members, mediated between the athletes and everything. So they are really not beyond that. Most of the disputes that actually go which are contentious are election and selection. And what happens, and bad for lawyers sometimes, good for lawyers sometimes, is you file an application, it goes to court. The courts are already burdened too much with so much litigation.
So, but Vidush, good for lawyers because more billing hours, right?
Yeah, good for them. Good for lawyers in the court, but maybe better for us when we set up a sports tribunal. We at least have a dedicated panel where the disputes will be resolved. And I think that's what I was building up to. What happens is the judges are already overburdened. You get 5 minutes or 10 minutes to address an issue, which has so many layers and so many complications within it. The sporting eco rules, what exactly has happened. So a lot of times what happens is they go by an emotional mandate and they pass a decision, which has lot of implications going down, because international federations are also involved and so many other athletes are also involved, because you pass a decision saying, okay, X is eligible to play. What about the Y person who you made ineligible immediately on that? And then the Y person does not have enough time to now come to court. So I think that is the reason why I think the sports tribunal has been set up, so that they can actually adjudicate on this in a matter where they are relevantly and regularly aware of all these issues and able to address these issues on a longer hearings and on a day-to-day basis, rather than one date coming now and then one date coming 2 weeks down the line. Second, elections. Everybody who is fighting elections, I think the election season, as soon as the federation starts or the RO is appointed and the electoral college has to be made, the disputes start. Good, bad, ugly, the disputes immediately start. Whoever and the politicking starts. And therefore, an independent election panel comprising of people who are the national and the state level, rostered by the government, is an excellent step. One, because the panel is there, they are aware of the rules and regulation, and they can continue to do elections on a regular basis. B, which is something which is aligned with the election, but not there in the election, but in the sports board, is that all affiliate units, which is a state association, have to be registered with them. It's a standard practice, and you see it across federations. As soon as the election is announced, if the people or the office bearers who are going to stand, or who are actually in position, if the state unit is not supporting them, most likely there will be a dispute created among the state units. One of them will be kicked out, and the other one will be affiliated, and then they will be a part of the electoral college, and then the dispute will go to court. But if your affiliated unit is registered with them, in order to disaffiliate them, you will have to actually disaffiliate. The complaint will go straight to the sports board, and that is not going to be easy. So disaffiliation is not going to be easy. So there is going to be more stability in the federations, and which is, I think, the major requirement, especially if we are going to bid for major events like the Olympics, the Commonwealth, and even the World Championship. You need stability. Even the leagues, which are there, they need stability.
But Vidushpat, I mean, there's also this talk, everybody keeps talking about autonomy of federation. The Olympic Charter says that national sports federation, national sports bodies need to be autonomous from any sort of outside interference. So as a lawyer, I mean, what do you think? Is there a chance of the international bodies seeing a bill like this as an interpretation of outside influence?
So I've had the chance to deal with the international federations regarding sports governance in India and this autonomy question. And this is sometimes a googly that is thrown. The sports governance standards have not been come in today. They have been in existence from 1975, right? These standards of age, tenure, having a proper grievance redressal system, having athlete representation has been there from 1975. It got imposed in late 2000, and then finally through the National Sports Code in 2011, it was more mandated, and the courts have also imposed it. At no time has the International Federation really said that, oh, imposing good governance norm is bad for Indian sport. At no point of time. In fact, they have said good, you cannot, what their issue is that the government cannot elect somebody on the sports federation board as an EC member or determine who are the people who are going to be a part of it. And they should not directly interfere in how they are functioning on a regular level. Imposing good governance standards is there world over. Somebody has higher standards, somebody has lower standards, but they are imposed worldwide. Even registration systems are imposed worldwide. So I think this is just a googly in a large sense a lot of people throw. I do not think the international federations object to imposition of good governance standards. Sir has been a part of the discussion. Sir may throw some light.
In fact, I would like to add on that if you see good governance norms, in fact, even International Olympic Committee has come out with the principles of good governance. It is now part of the code of the ethics of the International Olympic Committee. And when we were framing the bill, we had extensive discussions with the major federations worldwide, and also have seen the international practices. That way, this act is putting a framework. It is nowhere hinging into the, I would say, autonomy aspect of the federations, but only mentioning the broad principles, how the federations will be run, how their disputes should be resolved, and how there should be smooth transition when it comes to the elections. Again, a democratically elected body is very well part of the principles of good governance of these federations internationally worldwide. And one can say about the ad hoc procedure which we have adopted. So there, the National Sports Board is very well mandated to have a consultation with the world body. It is not that the board itself will appoint an ad hoc administrative body in case of governance failure. So everywhere proper safeguards have been built in to safeguard the autonomy. But side by side, the act is putting the responsibility also. There can't be autonomy without responsibility, because again they are performing state-like function. They are selecting the team India. When India is represented, so it should be represented with the players who are credible, selected properly, with the due process of rules regulations framed under the law. So that way this act is a fine balance between autonomy and accountability, and proper ensuring that the structures are in place and should not be hijacked by a particular sets of people or particular person.
Kunalji, the minister was also saying that while we are looking into the global best practices, we should create system, create laws are which are enshrined to our values, our system. So, I mean, we know that if you look at national sports bodies worldwide, the U.S. Olympic Association gives affiliations to national sports federations under the Ted Stevens Act. Then in Australia, obviously, we have a similar tribunal like that in India. So when these drafts were when you guys were drafting this bill, I mean, did you look at best practices, what was happening worldwide, and how did you ensure that you get the best out of there and you then make an Indian law which can serve the Indian interest in sports the best way?
Yes, when we were framing the bill, at that time, the first and foremost was the International Olympic Committee's Olympic Charter and Code of Ethics. The good governance principles of good governance was the broad framework under which we had functioned. And we had also seen when the draft constitution of Indian Olympic Association was formed under the direction of Supreme Court, that also served as a good example, good base for framing the our draft bill. And side by side, we have seen the international practices like US system, then Australia is having proper act, then UK is having a code of sports, France is having code of sports. So these all international best practices have been thoroughly studied, seen, and our own sports code, the beginning of which was made, as my friend Vidushpat said, in 1975, and proper sports code was brought in after amalgamating all different good governance order in 2011. So its own functioning, different court orders, everything has been studied deeply, and after due consultation, this bill was framed.
I'll just add to what Sir has said. The Indian Olympic Constitution was discussed with the IOC before it was finalized, and the government was also involved. Everybody was involved. And the IOC had no problem even then saying that you can put that all federations need to comply with the National Sports Code, and it is there in the Constitution. And they had no problem with that. They said till the time that is not against the Olympic Charter, we have no problem that you have additional good governance guidelines. And I think that is what the Act is doing. They're just taking the step forward. So IOC is completely, and even the international federations are completely aligned that if you have good governance norms which are transparent, they have no problem with that.
And Vidushpat, I mean, we were also talking about sports in India being a state subject. I mean, how do you think this bill, how do you take it down to the state level and state associations and all of that? How do you bring them under the ambit of the Act? And how do you think this will impact the sports governance at the state level? And Sir was earlier saying that how disenfranchising state associations all would be much more difficult once this comes, because there a lot of times the dispute actually comes from the state associations when we see elections happening at the national body. So how do you think that this bill can address that, or this Act?
I think the Act is very balanced in the sense that they are not trying to interfere in the autonomy of the state governments. They are simply, the Act is only laying down the broad guidelines on the International Federation, and only for the state unit I have only found one provision which is saying that the affiliate units have to be registered with the National Sports Board. I have not seen anything other than that in the interference in the state units. Each state government will then, taking this as a mandate or taking this as a guideline, will come out with their own norms. Rajasthan has a sports act, Gujarat is like to come out with a sports act, Haryana has a sports act. So they will all take this as a base and amend their own acts and rules. where probably they will talk about accounting standard, district associations, panchayat level, how a director will be governing or at least be overseeing those aspects, how games have to happen at the state level. I think those all aspects will be determined at the state government level. So there's enough, as I said, a broad canvas has been provided, but there's enough to paint at the state level and then take it down to the district and panchayats.
And in fact, I would like to add that when the subject becomes beyond the boundary of the state, like National Sports Federation, no state law can cover the National Sports Federation per se, and especially when is National Sports Federation is selecting Team India, like they are going for a world championship or participating in Olympics, so that way it becomes part of India's international relations, which is very well covered under the union list. So that way this act is a fine balance under the constitutional provision and scheme of the country.
Kunalji, also in case where federations fail to conduct elections or publish accounts, the National Sports Board will have the power of inquiry. What are the due protections that the federations will have before, say, they are getting suspended or de-recognized?
Here, if you see the act, it very well from the beginning it is saying that this act respects the Olympic Charter and international statutes. So, whenever there is a governance failure, these are one major aspect of governance failure if elections are not properly conducted or conducted in time or the accounts are not published, then this matter, see, there are two sets of accountabilities. One, that federation is also accountable to their own international body. They have to follow the international statutes. They also mandate such kind of activity that they have to conduct regular election. They have to ensure that their accounts are properly managed. So that way it is a joint responsibility of the sports board as well as their own international federation. And when it comes to addressing the governance failure, the act clearly provides that the sports board will discuss the matter with the international federation, and for the Olympic discipline it will recommend the Indian Olympic Association to discuss with the international federation for formation of an ad hoc administrative body. So that way a proper foolproof mechanism is provided that athletes should not suffer in case of governance failure. There will be an alternate body to manage the federation in case there is a serious governance issue, which we feel that the kind of structures the act is providing should not happen.
Vidushpatji, I mean, we know for a fact, I mean, because we keep seeing in the sports pages, I mean, while we write about the success of Indian athletes, there's also a huge amount of space that we have to give to all the disputes and all the legal cases that are going on among most of the federations. I mean, take the example of football itself. I mean, the game is in jeopardy because a case has been going on for a very, very long time regarding the constitution and all of that. How do you think the tribunal would address these issues? Because, I mean, what the Honorable Minister earlier said, 350 cases regarding national sports federations are going on across various courts in India right now.
As I said, the courts are very stuck with time, right? Judges don't have the time to hear the matters, understand it, and then deliberate and give judgment because there's so much happening. So a specialized tribunal A is going to hear the matter regularly on a day-to-day basis. B, because there's a specialized tribunal, they are going to be aware of the sports rules, regulation, international decisions. As lawyers, we'll also be bringing that forward to their attention. So once you've brought it forward, they remember it. The next matter, the next matter, the next matter. They're just enhancing the knowledge.
Is this the practice world over in most of the developed sporting nations? If you talk about US, Australia, I mean, how does their sports governance issues work out?
So that's a very good question. Now depends on where you're talking about. Like in America, they have a AAA, which is the arbitration tribunal, and all sporting disputes, with the arrangement of the US Olympics and everything, end up going to that arbitration tribunal. So it's a specialized arbitration tribunal for that. Same is with Qatar. In Kenya, there is a sports tribunal, like a government mandated sports tribunal. In UK, it is a sports resolution, where again all the disputes, it's an arbitration tribunal. So they have tried to take an arbitration approach, and then some jurisdiction like Kenya have taken a sports tribunal approach, which is a structured court. So, but yes, your question or the answer to that is there's always a specialized sports tribunal or a body or adjudicating body which is deciding the dispute, because they have the specialized knowledge and they have the wherewithal to do this on a quick and a fast manner. Because in sporting disputes, if somebody has to go for an event or participate in 48 hours, then you can't decide that the issue after 1 week.
Absolutely.
And I would like to add further to it that our act also provides that every federation will have a dispute resolution committee within the federation and ethics committee. Only after going through that step, it will go to the tribunal and then finally to the Supreme Court. So our act is also focusing on internal resolution
Dispute
of the disputes.
mechanisms.
Yes.
Kunalji, safe sport policy mandates grievance redressal for athletes in case like harassment complaints against officials. Will investigation be handled independently? Because you were talking about all federations will have their own dispute resolution mechanism. Would be handled by the federation, or there also the tribunal will have a role to play when these sort of things come?
Initially, if you see the Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act,
Yeah.
it talks about setting up an internal complaints committee. So this code of, I would say, ethics and safety, safe sports policy, they are all hinging upon the framework which is already provided in the law, and then building upon that, considering the uniqueness of the sports. And definitely, once these mechanisms are, disposed with, then tribunal definitely will have a role. But primarily, we are looking at the internal capacity of the federation to address these kind of issues.
Okay. I think we had a wonderful discussion with these two gentlemen. They have immense knowledge on sports governance worldwide, and I think they have come out with a wonderful bill. I would now like to throw it up for the audience, maybe 2 or 3 questions if you're going to have them from, yes, the gentleman in blue. Yeah, if you could get him a mic.
A warning: the gentleman in blue is a lawyer as well.
It was a wonderful session. My question is directed to Vidushpat. As you're aware that we've always had specialized tribunals of late in this country. A lot of work has divested from the High Court and gone to specialized subject tribunals. But as you're also aware, a lot of specialized tribunals haven't really made a mark. Do you expect that, while you're optimistic, there's a new bill, new Act, Sports Act now, would this specialized tribunal be a better system as compared to other specialized tribunals which have not really taken off? Tribunals generally haven't worked very well. So what would be your thoughts on that?
I think so. Proof of this would lie in exactly who is appointed on these panels and what are the kind of processes that are set up to administer these panels. If you ask me, at this point of time, there's only an act in place.
I know it's premature, but
only an act is in place, so the step is absolutely in the right direction. But then everything, you can make an act or you can make the best intention, but then how it is enforced or administered also is equally important. So who are the people who are appointed on this panel, how they function, and what are the administrative backing behind them will also determine that part. I completely agree with you, but at this point we are sitting at the act, and I think it's a very good step.
I would like to add to it that the sports disputes are a niche area. So if we have seen that when these disputes go to the constitutional courts, this take time. And internationally, if you see how many the international tribunals are filled with the judges who are expert in the sports law. So this tribunal will also act as a gateway to have experienced judges or arbitrators who are having well experience in the sports law to move up to the world level also.
No, thank you. I know Vidushpat is a specialist in this area. We come from the same school. So that's the reason I asked him this question. Thank you.
Any more questions from the audience? Anyone else? Okay. I think you have a question? Yeah, right at the end. Then white blazer, if you could have the mic to him. Yeah. Yeah.
Just one simple question. What is the idea behind getting this bill? The idea is to regulate sports federations or facilitate sports federations?
Idea is to liberate the sports federation.
That's well said. We can take one more question. I think someone right at the back had raised. Yeah. If you could get a mic to him.
Hi, my question is regarding what sports are looking to be notified under this act. I understand all the physical sports that are already under federations, but is esports under consideration also?
That only time will tell.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. I think it was a wonderful. One more question? Okay. Can we get the mic to the gentleman right at the left?
Good morning. First of all, thank you so much for coming out with this, act, because it was a long pending demand of industry. Because I mean, so many courts are there, so many cases are there at national level, at the state level. I was just wondering. I mean, India is a huge country. Are you planning to take benches of this tribunal to regional level and state level, or it will be just at the center level? Because thing is, it. I mean, the economic, issues related to the sports persons and even state body and district body. You don't expect them to come to the central body, coming to the central tribunal for everything.
In fact, with the advent of modern technology, the distance is just a number in kilometers, but instantly one can connect in microseconds. I don't foresee with the modern technology the distance is any barrier. And secondly, that act provides for internal dispute resolution mechanism. So that way, either it is election dispute or selection dispute, the first point of grievance redressal is within the federation itself. Only at the second level, these are going to be in the tribunal. So that way, we are expecting that slowly the governance will rise up to such a level that these all issues will be solved internally. And in case it comes to tribunal, definitely with the modern VC system, you don't require physical location of any kind of a dispute resolution body. Very well, you can handle it from sitting from any place in the country.
I think we will take what Kunalji said. The sole purpose of this act is to liberate the national sport federations from the multiple disputes regarding governance which end up in long judicial processes, and to let them run sports and to ensure that all of our athletes gets the best possible facilities and the best support from their national sports federations. That's the main purpose of this particular act. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kunalji. Thank you so much, Vidushpatji, for this wonderful discussion. Thank you.
Commending the intent and looking forward to the execution, I think is the way to sum that particular thing up. Ayon, I'd request you to do the honors and please present a small memento of our appreciation to our two wonderful speakers on stage who were a part of this panel discussion. Thank you so much, Shri Kunalji, for being here with us and sharing your thoughts. And a big thank you to Vidushpat Singhania as well. Thank you so much.